Well, David, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. And it's not a fun topic today, but I want to give people some insight that they probably haven't heard elsewhere. You being a former SWAT sniper, we're going to talk about lawlessness. I want to get your take on the assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. And I really want to hear what you have to say. I haven't caught your programs recently, and I know you have a lot to share. And let's just start right there. We're not surprised that it happened. I mean, the media and Hollywood and everyone else kind of set the stage for this, and the hateful rhetoric, the attacks on Trump, the lawfare, and just the lies that have been spewed. So go ahead and share and start whatever's on your heart, Ken.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that they're only blaming one side for the violence and lawlessness that we're seeing. And it's actually the side that's not perpetrating it. Of course, we know that the side that's actually perpetrating the lawlessness, you barely hear a word about it. Yeah, they'll show it on the news, but they really don't call them out. And, you know, yesterday was a perfect example at the federal Capitol, where the pro-Palestinians literally not only rioted, but they defaced statues. They took down the American flag and put the Hamas flag. They rose the Hamas flag up. So, I mean, nothing was really done about it. Yeah, there were a few minor clashes. I think out of the probably thousands of people that were there, I saw the pictures, I think 6 were arrested. I mean, that's unheard of for the amount of violence that occurred yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I was seeing some video, and I don't know what it is, Ken. Maybe you can, I'm scratching my head here. A lot of Americans are thinking, why are they allowing this? There's graffiti. There was graffiti on the Liberty Bell and then on other places, on monuments. And they took our flag down and they're burning the American flag. And you're thinking, wow, I mean, they did that during the Black Lives Matter riots, the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation riots, Marxist-driven, China-driven, and the left was funding it. It wasn't an organic movement, so they were doing this 4 years ago. But now to see it come back in a different way, I don't understand. Do you think the law enforcement or whoever's in charge of security, they're told to stand down, let them protest? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly since the George Floyd incident, we've seen a dampering down of use of force, justifiable use of force, I might add, with law enforcement. And they're afraid, David, because everything's being recorded. Even if they're justified, they don't want to be the ones caught on camera enacting and preventing some of this violence and having to actually use force. So this isn't anything new. In 2007, when I was on our SWAT team, we were responsible for some of the security at the Republican convention in St. Paul, Minnesota. And there was a lot, there's Antifa and all these groups were there. I mean, thousands, literally thousands of people rioting and protesting. They tried to breach the XL Energy Center where they were speaking. And I mean, it was all out. I mean, we had to have a force used to keep people from going into that building. But we actually were encouraged to do that. And we would have been protected by, basically by law, had something happened. But now you're seeing law enforcement backing down almost. And I'm talking to my former colleagues in law enforcement, and they say, you know what, Ken, we're so short to begin with because people don't want to get in law enforcement now, and they realize it's a dangerous position to be in, but they're backing down from this because they don't want to get in trouble. And it's unfortunate because they're telling me all they want to do is go out and do their job, do the calls that they're supposed to go on, but there's nothing proactive going on. And if you don't have proactive policing going on in your community, you're going to have a huge increase in crime, and we're seeing the fruits of that.
The places that have defunded the police, Seattle, Portland, other places, I don't think that we as a nation have learned our lesson from those case studies, if you want to call it that, because the media doesn't report on it. The skyrocketing crime, Chicago, oh my goodness, off the charts. But the media won't report fairly on that, but yet innocent people are being murdered, injured, they're they're just massive issues with drugs and everything else, but yet we don't hear about it. Do you think that's part of the problem for as far as the whole of America, not learning a lesson from these places that have been all in on defunding the police?
Well, David, I'm in the heart of it. I'm in the belly of the beast. I'm in Minneapolis. And right now, just the Minneapolis Police Department, not the surrounding suburbs, even though they're included, Minneapolis Police Department's almost at half staff. They can only answer high priority calls. That's where they're at right now. And I've got friends in the department, and they're devastated. So now what they've had to do is try to get people to come back onto the force. So they're offering exorbitant amounts of money to do it, but they don't have the manpower to cover just the high priority calls in that city. So that's not just Minneapolis, it's every major city in this country. So we're already seeing the quick effects of defunding the police, and with all of the immigrants, and I'll say terrorists, because there are thousands of terrorists we've allowed to come in this country, not just pro-Palestinian, but people that were trained Islamists that are here in this country right now. Just yesterday, Senator Amy Klobuchar's office was surrounded and protested right here in Minneapolis. You saw what happened at the Capitol. This is happening every single day in major cities across America, and you barely hear a blip from our media, which is completely complicit in all this.
Yes, thank you for saying that and using that word, complicit. I've been studying the media and writing about that for decades, and it's just sad that they're not serving the people. And I hope more people will catch on. But Ken, I want to get your take. By the way, friends, the second half of the podcast today, we will talk about Ken's perspective as a former SWAT team member and sniper on the assassination attempt on Trump. But I want to go back to, I wrote something in a chapter in my book, Canceling Christianity, on this lawlessness, Black Lives Matter. I contrasted Christianity with Marxism, and I said reform is good. The heart of man, however, is still wicked, and this is our underlying problem. And then I quote Kyle S. Rees. He was at that time the national spokesman for law enforcement today. And Ken, I'll get your response to this. America's population is approximately 330 million. According to law enforcement today, there are, or were 4 years ago, 900,000 sworn law enforcement officers and an average of just under 1,000 incidents per year in which police have used deadly force. Of those cases, 95.3% of suspects were armed. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, there were 58,627 assaults against law enforcement in 2016. And most likely that number skyrocketed in 2020. So officers come into contact with the population 55.8 million times a year. There are about 26,000 complaints of excessive force, but only 8% of these were sustained, meaning proven or legitimate, equaling 2,080 cases. Friends, if you do the math, and I've been out of school for a while, that's 0.0039% excessive force out of over 55 million interactions with the public by law enforcement. So your thoughts on the stats that are inconvenient truths people don't want to acknowledge?
Well, exactly. I mean, those are amazing statistics in favor of law enforcement. But what the media does, and what unfortunately the top people in our government and most of the left-leaning or leftist states, they're not even left-leaning anymore. They're flat-out communists.
Exactly.
We're seeing some flat out in many of these states. And what they do is they cherry pick the one or two incidents that happen every single year, and then they focus on those and they replay them over and over and over, and then they group all of law enforcement into that category, and so they demonize them. And we saw it with the Rodney King incident years ago. And after that, it's almost overnight things changed towards law enforcement. I was working then, and I saw what happened, and it literally changed things overnight. And then what really catapulted law enforcement into being demonized was in 2008. And if you recall, I'm trying to think of who the administration was back then. We know it changed overnight, and we saw law enforcement officers being assassinated right in their patrol cars, and hardly a word was spoken about it. I mean, yeah, they would report it. And ever since that, ever since 2008, there's been this continual demonization of law enforcement, people in charge. And it's not just law enforcement, parental authority, teacher authority. I talked to teachers all over the country. I worked in the schools for several years, so I saw it firsthand. So anything to do with authority, and that's what Marxism does, it breaks down authority so that the government is in charge. And if you look at what's happened over the past few decades, we've depleted all of our top officials in our government, whether it's in we're seeing the attorney generals being brought in that are leftists, that are pure communism. We have one here in Minnesota. So when you deplete all the top authority figures, the mainline people have to go along with that. They have to either follow orders or resign from their position. And that's what we've seen in the military, the attorney general's office, the CIA, the FBI. You go right down the line. All of the top officials have been depleted, and now they'll do exactly what the government tells them to do. And unfortunately, it's the mainline people that are, for the most part, really good people and want to do their job, want to do a good job. They're the ones that suffer.
Yeah. Amen, brother. We're with Ken Michael, and you can watch more of his programs at olivetreeviews.com. So back to the story we wanted to talk about and get your insights on. As a former SWAT sniper, has a sloped roof ever been an issue for you when you were a SWAT sniper? And then tell us your thoughts on how that all played out.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, the slope was almost flat for the suspect.
Exactly.
If you look at the counter sniper where he was perched, he was literally almost on a triangle. I think it was 300 and some degree slope, which is really difficult. I mean, kudos go out to that sniper that took him out, because it was a difficult shot. I understand he was actually shooting through some brush also, so his vision was depleted a little bit. So if you look at the slope of the SWAT sniper, or for the Secret Service sniper versus the suspect, he literally gave him, the slope was enough just to give him some cover that when he popped up his head, he was able to be taken out.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So let's talk about what some of the rumors, and we're still finding out more information weeks later. I heard that the local police, one representative said that they were in charge of traffic. Did I hear that right? That so they weren't actually assigned to that roof? I've heard conflicting reports. What do you know about that, Ken?
Well, so the city I worked for was right next to the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. So our SWAT team was assigned. Every time the president came in, we would be assigned an area, and it was usually a building where the president would drive out of, and myself and my sniper partner would be up there. But the Secret Service always does a recon of the area that the president is going to be traveling. So when it's wheels down at the air, from the time it's wheels down to the time it's wheels up, they have that whole route where the president's going to be mapped out. And back then they would fly a helicopter over, and they would find the choke points where the local police needed to be. And the Secret Service always dedicates where the local police go. They're responsible for the protection of the president or whoever the VIP is. So I had a little bit of experience with that. I went through the Secret Service training. This incident, however, because when I dealt with the president, he was in what they call the Beast, this armored car, and he was protected for the most part from the time he left the airport to the time he went and spoke, and he really wasn't out in the open too much. And what they want to do, the biggest problem they had there was communications. So every state has a statewide channel that every police department can speak on. And that's what we had. And we had a state patrol supervisor with a Secret Service agent so that if there was any problem along the route, we'd radio in, and that Secret Service agent immediately knows there's an issue. They either have to divert the motorcade or take evasive action, whatever they had to do. They didn't do that in this situation. You have an open air situation, David, where I think if I sent a class of cadets out there, they could have done a better job securing that area, because you do a site survey. You'd do an overhead survey with a drone. You put somebody on the stage, and if you looked out, and I've seen the schematics of it, there's 4 steel buildings lined up 130 to 150 yards out. Well, bingo. Those are the first spots that I'm going to put people. And then I'm going to build my perimeter out from that. Another few hundred to who knows, however that field is. But nobody should be coming in that perimeter, let alone a suspect. So when you look at what happened, not only was the suspect able to enter that area, so were hundreds of other people that were walking around, if you saw the videos. Now they stationed local police inside the building, which completely blows my mind. I don't know why you'd put people inside the building where your vision, most of your vision is obscured. You can't see what's next to you, behind you. Had these officers just been standing outside, they would have seen the suspect walking up and climbing up onto the building. So this real quick, these weren't mistakes that were made. This was dereliction of duty. This is basic containment, and it should have been a fundamental process that the Secret Service would have went through to make that area secure so that no one could have climbed up on a building with a rifle and taken a shot at the president. That's just the beginning.
So, Ken Michael, I see a couple options. One being what you said, a dereliction of duty, just horrific failures. Possibly due to DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, and the woman that didn't have any, I don't know, she shouldn't have been in that position. But the other possibility is an inside job. This is where the conspiracy theory gets going, and there could have been more behind it. Was it the deep state? Was it others? Was this purposeful? They let their guard down? Were someone given the orders to stand down or not be in the right place? We can only speculate now, but what can you tell us, or what does your gut say about those possibilities?
Well, I just interviewed Alex Newman 2 days ago, and he spoke, unedited interview, he said that Roger Stone, he spoke to him directly, and the Trump campaign knows that something critical happened that shouldn't have happened. And he believes it's the deep state. And, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but how in the world can a 20-year-old walk into that area, bring a rifle, fly a drone around beforehand, and then get 8 shots off without the Secret Service confronting him? Now, they did see him before that, which was good, but no one could find him. So I believe it was just a few minutes before, it was 18 minutes before, he was seen again, and they still allowed the president to go up on stage.
That's another problem.
Exactly. And then law enforcement actually confronted him a few minutes beforehand, but he was up on that roof 2 minutes, over 2 minutes, while the crowd was yelling, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. There's a guy on the roof with a rifle. Now, if you had the proper communications that they should have had, where local police can get to a supervisor on the scene that can directly talk to the Secret Service supervisor, he should have been whisked off that stage immediately. That's the second issue. And I'll get into this because when I witnessed this, I was in shock. After I heard the recording, the shots were fired, president went down, Secret Service got on top of him, and they're applauding the Secret Service agents for doing that. But after that, if you listen to the tape, and it's very clear, whoever the lead agent was said, we're going to stand up and move. So they stood up, he said move, and nobody moved. And for a full, I think it was over 10 seconds, the president was saying, wait, Where are my shoes? I think I saw a video where the Secret Service agent kicked his shoes off the stage, and then he wanted to stand and raise his fist. And that's, it looks good in photos. But when you're talking about the security of the President of the United States, a full 10 seconds it took to get him off that stage. When that lead agent said, we're up, and he said, move, you're moving, and you don't stop. And if that means picking him up and carrying him off that stage, that's exactly what you do. We used to practice officer rescue stuff all the time. The lead agent was in charge. The President Trump isn't in charge at that point. Once there's shots fired, that's it. That lead agent needs to take charge. You have to have agents that can physically pick up the person and carry off that stage, and that did not happen. You know what could have happened in 10 seconds had there been another sniper there, or if that sniper hadn't been hit? Lord only knows, not only Trump, but other agents and other spectators could have easily been shot and killed.
I thought about that when he popped up and he was kind of exposed from the chest up. I thought, what if there's another shooter? Get him out of there. Ken, real quick, we just got 3 minutes left. The drone. This is a recent report that came out that the shooter flew a drone over the area before the event took place, and no red flags there. Go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, it's unheard of that this happened 2 hours before, I guess, he was there. He flew a drone in the area of the place. The FBI director said it was 200 yards from where the president was speaking. It doesn't matter. When the president or a VIP a presidential candidate is going to speak, that area is secured from sunup to, or even the night before. I know the advance team usually goes out and they have areas secured. They have people there guarding it all night. No one gets into that area. That was, like I said, that was dereliction of duty, and the Secret Service director said, well, that 130 yards wasn't within our perimeter. And I'm thinking, how on earth can that not, you're in an open field and that's not in your perimeter? Like I said, it's inexcusable what happened that day, and I would call it dereliction of duty.
And by the way, we know now they also gave extra security to Kamala Harris that day, and I believe Jill Biden that day. I think they may have been in Pennsylvania, but anyway, so Trump didn't get what he requested apparently. There's so much wrong with this that I think people are just saying, come on, how can there be so many of these glaring red flags? Go ahead.
I'll add this. I believe I heard there were somewhere about 50 Secret Service agents short that day that should have been on Trump's detail. And now you add in the fact that he had a credible terrorist threat from the government of Iran to kill him for when he took out Soleimani. So how they allowed that to happen, like I said, if we find out later that there's more involved in this, it wouldn't surprise me one bit, because the deep state, and there is a deep state, folks, they'll do anything. And when I say anything, there's nothing they won't do to stop Trump or anyone else that gets in their way.
The ends justify the means, and these are demonically driven people. These are globalists. These are people that hate America, and Judeo-Christian values are in their way. So is those patriotic people, and whoever is a conservative, and someone like Trump who's against globalism. No surprise that it happened, but just the way it did, so many glaring issues. Ken, Michael, thanks for your time today and your insights. I really appreciate it. I think it's very helpful to see it from your point of view and what your background was. So thanks for your time, sir. God bless you.
Thanks for having me, David, and God bless you.
All right, thank you. Guys, again, you can go to olivetreeviews.org and click on video, and you'll see Understanding Our Times prophecy updates. Well, thank you for sharing the show, for supporting us, for praying. God bless you. And as always, keep speaking the truth about things that matter.